Hi, everyone. Emily Jashinsky here, culture editor at the Federalist. I literally just got back from the protests, which I don't think you can really accurately refer to as a protest anymore, outside the Capitol building and now inside the Capitol building. It was a mess. So what started on the western side of the National Mall this morning as a massive crowd of Trump supporters gathered to watch the president speak. And even those who didn't get into the official event were watching the president speak. People had climbed trees. What started there, as the president finished his speech, in which he called on Mike Pence to act in his favor, and that drew some of the loudest cheers that I heard throughout the entire address. So after he concluded, everyone marched, a large group. I mean, this was a really huge rally. And everyone really got onto Constitution Avenue and marched east towards the Capitol building and started chanting things like "Stop the Steal" and "Do your job." And as the crowd, which was densely packed and was going on and on, I will upload some videos. But I just see one question here. Was it Antifa or not? Listen, I was there for hours. I was in the crowd for hours. What I saw was legitimate Trump supporters. And the next comment sort of gets to that. We the people are fed up. Well, yes. And that's what I experienced, is just rage and anger. And that's what I saw. And so from my opinion, having been there reporting for a few hours, I was with the group, and I will upload these videos. You can see some of them on my Twitter feed. I was with the group as they made the decision to storm the Capitol building and rush past police. I was there, and from my observation, they were legitimate Trump supporters. It's not impossible that there were some false flag Antifa people in the mix that were whipping the crowd into a frenzy. I did not see that. I want to be very clear. I'm just saying it's not impossible. But ultimately, what I did see were legitimate Trump supporters who were so deeply angry at the system, at the establishment. A lot of the anger that I saw, if not all of the anger, was directed at the Republican Party. And that's what I was hearing from the crowd. What started out, what I wanted to do today was ask Trump supporters what they wanted to see from the president if Joe Biden were inaugurated, as we should all expect him to be inaugurated at this point. And, a lot of people said they wanted him to continue hammering on the issue of election integrity and to make sure that we do have fair elections. But, there are a lot of comments here that I'm seeing. It's not Antifa, it's Trump people. It's not Antifa, it's Trump people. Yes, that was my observation completely, absolutely. That is absolutely what I saw. I was there for a few hours. It was these were legitimate Trump supporters gathered for his address in this huge crowd that stretched from the Ellipse up to the Washington Monument. And from my observation, it was Trump supporters who were outside the Capitol building doing everything they could to get inside the Capitol building. I did not see anybody that I suspected was disguised as Antifa. I did not see anybody that I suspected was trying to pull off some sort of false flag operation. No, what I saw were legitimate Trump supporters who are deeply angry because the president said in his address today that he won in a landslide. Now, if you believe that the president of the United States won his reelection in a landslide and is not being inaugurated, that's, of course, where this anger, you can imagine, if that's what you believe, and I'm sure some people watching do believe that, that's a completely understandable source of deep anger and frustration. But the Republican Party, the Democratic Party now has to find a way to address this and to address this frustration and this anger that I think doesn't indulge some of these toxic impulses, of which storming the Capitol storming the Capitol building past the Capitol Police is one of them. The Capitol Police put their lives on the line every single day. And I saw back the blue flags at today's rally. So, it was there's sort of this disconnect when you see this pro police, like people literally brought back the blue flags to the rally, and then a section of rally goers stormed the Capitol building and went past the police. And I actually heard on a microphone or a megaphone a supporter of the president's, as I was walking away from all of it, say we have to be so proud that our supporters got past the police as peacefully as they possibly could. There's really nothing peaceful about breaching a police line into the Capitol building. And now there were a lot of people outside saying, whose house, our house, whose Capitol, our Capitol, whose streets, our streets. It's true, as taxpayers, that is our building. And that's why we shouldn't riot in it. And that's why we should show our respect for the rule of law in that building of all buildings. So I can speak a little bit, this is my favorite comment probably. Who is this dumbass? That's a good one. So girl, just stop talking and save your dignity. You're terrified right now, and you were going to say a lot of dumb shit right now. I'm not terrified at all. I'm not personally terrified. But what I will say is that I can speak to what was happening. I can speak to what I saw. I'm done listening to you. Okay. Well, anyway, my point here, the broader point, is that what I saw was people breaching the Capitol building, legitimate Trump-supporting patriots breaching the Capitol building, creating chaos, climbing the wall, rushing the steps. And, you may think that, sorry, I'm reading some of these comments as we're going. You may think that that's an understandable expression of rage and fury and anger, and I completely understand that. Like, I actually don't blame a single person in this country for questioning the results of the election, and that's I think a really important thing for the Republican establishment to understand, that nobody knows. They've been lied to. We've been lied to over and over and over again by the corporate media, by the political establishment. Constant stream of lies. So of course nobody knows what to believe. And Donald Trump came along and spoke to all of these angers and frustrations. And of course there are going to be people who 100% take his word for that, because he was listening to them when other people were not. And so I think as we go forward and we try to deal with what happened today, from videos, we know that the rushing of the Capitol resulted in at least one person being shot as of right now. As the dust settles and we try to figure out what happened today, people absolutely 100% need to understand the degree of anger that exists in this country. And you cannot blame deplorables. You can't blame, you can't blame what you see as, people who are just rubes scattered throughout flyover country. That's absolutely the wrong place to direct your direct your opprobrium. What we saw is actually the result of elites failing people and our institutions failing our people over and over and over again. Now, anybody who is engaged in violence today, the blame lies squarely with them. But from a broader perspective, of course, people are upset. None of us have any idea, what to believe anymore, because the Trump presidency itself was marked by things like Russiagate, where we had the elites for years and years and years lying. There's flat out lying, flat out misinforming people. And that was the media and that was the politicians. And that's, it's when you have things like that happen, that's not the fault of news consumers for then saying, I'm not going to trust the news media. That is the fault of the news media. And so again, what I'm saying here basically is, as the dust settles, as the dust settles, the wrong group of people from a broader perspective to blame is going to be people in this country who are angry and don't know what to believe about anything, frankly, anything at all. So that's my report, having spent time I talked to, and this should not be lost at all, as this protest was moving from the Washington Monument to the Capitol building, I talked to so many fantastic people, just like people. I met somebody who was from literally the town over that I grew up in Wisconsin, and worked at a store that I frequented all the time growing up. And I met a lot of Midwesterners. I met a group of young boys from Pennsylvania who told me that they were here and that they would follow the president to a third party. They're more loyal to Donald Trump than to the Republican Party, and if he started a third party, that's what they would go with. I talked to a lot of people who said they wanted Trump to start his own media outlet because they don't trust literally anybody anymore. They're upset with pretty much everybody in the news media, which is completely understandable. And I talked to just a lot of good folks who came all the way out here from Michigan, from Wisconsin, from Indiana, from California, who really legitimately love the president, and who are so upset with the direction of the country. They're so upset, and rightfully so, with our political establishment. And there were this crowd. There were a lot of people who were at this Trump rally today for peaceful reasons. And I think the sad thing is the people who stormed the Capitol building take away from all of the thousands of respectful, decent people who came out to Washington, D.C. today to hear from the president and to stand up for what they believe in. So that's what I saw today. That's what I saw today, and I will be uploading videos so you can see for yourself what was happening outside the Capitol building, and you can see for yourself what was happening around the president's speech as things, when things were much calmer and more peaceful down by the Washington Monument. So stay tuned to all of our social media channels for that. But until next time, we'll see you then.